I love it. I love The Big Parade, 1925. King Vidor masterpiece starring John Gilbert and Renee Adoree. Of course, one of his three masterpieces, those three being The Crowd, Show People, and The Big Parade. A World War I romantic epic. This is a wonderful piece of romantic cinema. It's also a fascinating bit of the war genre, of war films. Because The Big Parade is neither entirely anti-war nor in support of war heroics. It's not. It's not either of those things. It's kind of bizarre in that respect because I don't think Vidor was intensely a peaceful person or an outrageously violent one. I just think that this film has a lot of sophistications from the bubblegum scene with Renee Adoree and John Gilbert, that bubblegum scene where he's showing her how to chew gum and like all the fun different things you can do with it. That's movie magic. It really is. I don't care how corny, how contrived, how kind of like pitifully bottom of the barrel like film criticism that sounds. It's movie magic. And King Vidor was able to accomplish that. King Vidor was able to capture a marvelous chemistry over and over again. I mean, that's how you know it's part of his composition. It's not just a fluke. King Vidor was kind of like a miracle filmmaker because he was able to just capture and represent these miracle moments of the human condition. But you have a scene like that, and you can juxtapose it. That's certainly a scene where John Gilbert's character, Jim Apperson, is trying to communicate with someone who doesn't understand his language, in that case a French woman, and also in that situation for romantic purposes because he's flirting with her. If you juxtapose it directly with the German in the trench, in the hole with him, and he's trying to communicate with that soldier as well, but of course for completely different aims. But not for any specific one, not trying to communicate with him in order to kill him or save him. He's like slapping him in the face, he's like lighting cigarette, they share a cigarette together. It's one of the most complicated and sophisticated and emotionally confrontational depths in all of war cinema, and it was at the very beginning of the genre. The very beginning of the genre. That scene between Gilbert and the soldier in the bunker, the soldier in the trench, the soldier in the foxhole is... It gives me chills. It really does. Because it's so sophisticated. And it flies in the face of all vestiges of possible sentimentality that the first half of the film kind of seemed to be flirting with. I mean, literally flirting with. I mean, maybe that's it as well. King Vidor is flirting with sentimentality, flirting with kind of like propagandist texturing for the film, like flirting with it, of course, and that's why John Gilbert is literally flirting with with Renee Adoree, the war film, trying kind of romancing and courting the romance, the love story. Maybe that's because King Vidor is flirting with sentimentality, flirting with propaganda, but then ultimately decides to give us something far more complex than even the most devastatingly horrific anti-war film. He gives us a film that is neither in support of or is condemning violence or war, almost as if these things just happen. But there are these wild moments. I despair to call them miracle moments now, but there are these true moments that can't be defined. The film is so incredibly put together. It's so it's ultimately ridiculously well composed. King Vidor knew exactly how to populate a frame, how to give you visual information, and give you it in a way that has a beautiful and kind of full, completed sense of impact. King Vidor was a master. I cover a lot of silent films on this channel. I don't see a whole lot of other YouTubers or film tubers, whatever we are. I don't see a whole lot of us doing it. which is a shame. The silent era is my favorite era of film. It really is, because you're dealing with the picturization of the infinite, the picturization of the unspeakable. Quite literally, the unspeakable. Silent films give us something outrageous. Like, when it comes to pathos, when it comes to informing the ethos, everything. I love silent movies, and I love covering them. If I did this channel in order to cover popular films that get a lot of views or have particularly controversial hot takes, I would not make the kind of videos that I do. I love paying tribute to these silent movies, and I bring all of this up because The Big Parade is one of those films that rekindles my love for the era, for the age. Every time that I watch it, every time that I view it, I put on that film, and suddenly I forgot that people even spoke in movies. I forgot that talkies were even a thing. I forget entirely about sound. And surrender completely to the silence, to that beautiful, completed silence. I love King Vidor's films. I love covering these silent movies. I've covered this film before. In a bit of a more focused analysis. You can definitely find it on my channel. I've gone into the specifics of this film, into the character development, into the history, context, and poetic imagery within this film before. This video isn't exactly that. This video is more so a tribute. I've recently revisited all of King Vidor's masterpieces. His 3 silent masterpieces, of course. The Crowd, Show People, The Big Parade, as I said earlier. I recently revisited them, and wow. Wow. Films like those make me hate the fact that anyone ever had to talk on film, ever. Regardless. Those films, they really reached the peak of artistic integrity. Silent films innovated so much in such a small period of time. A fraction of the time that talkies have had. Silent movies, they shape and reshape me and my love for film. The Big Parade, specifically, I think informs American cinema in a large and also largely unrecognized way. I don't know where we would be without King Vidor's films. I don't. I hate to even think about it. I wouldn't want to know that place. I wouldn't want to know that vapid universe. 3 cheers for King Vidor. Hip hip. Hip hip. And hip hip hooray. Thank you, King. And thank you guys for watching my video. I love The Big Parade. Fully and completely. Totally.